Do Jews believe in astrology? And can we change our destiny? Welcome back to this bonus episode. I'm Gila Ross, host of the Power Up podcast, where we talk about real life issues and cut through the chase to see what's true and what's not, to give us the wisdom and inspiration to inspire your everyday life. Always good to start with the story. There was two rabbis, right? And they were called, I think one was called Rav Huna and one was called Rav Chizda. And Rav Huna and Rav Chizda both prayed for rain. And they both got answered, and there was rain after they prayed. Now this information is interesting for a reason. Because what happened is that one of them died very young, and one of them lived for a ripe old age. So the people were talking and asking, why did one of them only live a short while the other one lived a long time? Is it because the one that lived a long time was greater, right? He was a better person. He was a holier rabbi, and that's why he lived longer. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think that's why he lived longer?
No, he was probably a water sign.
No. 1 minute, you said we don't believe in astrology.
I'm not sure. I think I'm Pisces. I think that is.
Are they?
The answer is nothing to do with him being a better person,
right? So the Gemara, the Talmud says that the fact that they both prayed for rain and they both got answered shows us that they were both equally holy, right? Because otherwise he wouldn't have gotten answered. But there are certain things that are out of our control. There's certain things that are kind of like our destiny, right? That is influenced by our star signs. And what's interesting is that every Hebrew month has a certain sign, has a certain symbol and a sign, and it's because it was, I don't know how much it lines up with like our cultural understanding of astrology, especially. I don't know how much of what we read in popular culture, like our pop, culture, astrology is actual real astrology, because most of the things that are written in astrology are there to make you kind of feel good and very vague and whatever, just to get the.
That's right, when you see a psychic.
Yeah,
you're not allowed to do all that.
So psychic and fortune telling is different. It is different, and that you're 100% right. It's a different discussion. But you, as Jews, we're not supposed to do. We'll do it another time. We will do it another time, because it's a fascinating reason why it's a bit of a time. Maybe we'll do it part 2 next week. Anyway, so where
kind of leads on, but isn't to do with it, isn't it?
Yes,
astrology kind of like turns around, although it's a generalization and says this will happen, this won't happen.
Right. Okay, so firstly, so there is, from what it's saying is that there are certain things, and it specifically says 3 things, right, that are destined. That number 1 is how long a person's going to live. That is dependent on that is your destiny, right? That's kind of your luck or destiny is how long you're going to live. How wealthy a person's going to be, how rich or poor a person's going to be, that is luck, whatever, and it is what it is, and you can't change it, kind of thing. And the third thing is how many kids you're gonna have, right? And it's very, and it was so funny because I said that yesterday Inside Out, and I'll tell you afterwards, because whatever, I don't want to put it on thing in case people know. I don't know whether the person would want to be discovered. So afterwards, right? We'll discuss that story. Remind me afterwards. Okay, so that there's the first. This is the first piece of Talmud that tells us that these 3 things are nothing to do with us, but there's a person's luck and destiny, and that's all it is. And the second, then there's a second one, and it talks about how a person. Have you heard of the word mazel?
Yeah, I always say it.
Yeah. What does mazel mean?
Luck.
Right? So we translate it as luck, but in the truth is mazel actually means like a flow of energy, right? And a flow of energy that comes from above and influences a person. Which, what is it? It means that depends upon when a person is born, under which star signs, etc., a person is born, their destiny is influenced by that mazel, right? By that flow of energy in that month. in that time period. And there's also, you know, about time of day or whatever, the Talmud talks all about it, which is very, very similar to astrology, right? So it says that that according to when a person's born is when there is how it's going to influence their life. But then there's a third one, and it says that the Jewish people, that the Jewish people are not bound by muzzle, right? That we're above muzzle, right? What does it mean? It means, for example, okay, I'll tell you where we're introduced to this. So when Abraham, our forefather Abraham, him and his wife were infertile. They didn't have any kids, and they wanted to have kids. And God said, and He took him out and He showed him the stars. And basically the message that He was showing him, he was saying that yes, it is correct that according to your destiny, you and Sarah are not supposed to have any children. Right? That is your luck, that is your destiny. But Jews are above destiny, right? And he showed me, he said, look at the stars. He says, look, you're above the stars, right? Yes, if you look in the stars, you'll see that you're not supposed to have any kids, but I'm going to take you outside of the stars and you will have children. And he obviously had children, and we are all his descendants. And that's where the principle comes from, that Jews can rise above our destiny, right? So even if the astrological signs would say that a person is this particular way, or a person is destined to be this or that or the other, as a Jew, we have the capability and the possibility to rise above that. Any questions, any thoughts so far? I've got a book called The Wisdom of the Hebrew Months, right? And you can track your Hebrew birthday, and I'm sure there are bits that talk about, like, if someone's born on this day, that
the Jewish date is obviously different, isn't it, to the English?
Yeah. Yes, and I'm sure you can track that sort of thing. But I mean, what the third piece of Talmud tells us is that even if, let's say, it says that, we're not bound by them. Yeah. But any questions?
There'd be no point in davening or.
Oh,
so saying, like, if you were infertile, then what would be the point of davening to have children, because you'd just be bound by.
So I'm going to turn that into a question, right? Because can we change our destiny, right? Because it seems to be that if you look at these three different pieces, they're telling us two different stories, right? One is telling us that you can rise above it, but the other one is telling us no, right? There are certain things that are predetermined, and you can't, like, you know, that rabbi that died at 40, however old he was, like, it doesn't matter how, I'm sure he prayed, and I'm sure he did lots of good things, but he was not able to change his destiny, right? And Talmud is saying it's not because he didn't pray enough, or it's not because he wasn't holy enough, or it's not because he didn't do enough good deeds, it's because that's what his destiny was, right? So I'm going to turn what Beth said into a question. Which one is it? Is it, as Beth says, that we can always rise above it, we can always change our destiny, we can always change our luck, whatever it is? And I guess the question would be, if we can, how? Or is it like the first one is telling us that it is what it is and you can't change it?
You can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry? 1 minute. Okay, we always have that person that sits on the fence. All right, so we have a couple. Sharon and Joe said we can. Danielle's going to vote for we can. Doris is going to vote for we can. Beth and Nicola on the fence, and Beth, you're on the fence as well.
I think ultimately there's some things you're not going to be able to change, because, like you say, there's lots of people who, like, you know, God forbid, get ill or get horrible, you know, and they just, that is what it is. Yeah. But we don't know, so you always have to try to do what you can to change your destiny. Do you know what I mean? You have to daven for it, you have to do the, you know, you can't just accept it.
Okay, so
you have to believe that you can change your destiny, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you will.
Okay, so Nicola's also saying you can. Anyone on Instagram, you can also weigh in and tell me what you think. So Beth is saying maybe yes, maybe no. Sometimes
so
yes.
You have to believe you can, but it doesn't necessarily mean you can. Does that what I mean?
Can you sometimes though?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna get
turn things round, can't you, for the better? Yeah.
But you don't know
if you go through a bad time, I don't know, addiction or something, you can change your
but you don't
path.
know if that was your destiny.
To have an addiction.
to not have an addiction, to overcome it. Do you see what I mean? Because you don't know what your destiny is. So if
What do you mean by
destiny-
that?
Like if your destiny is to have children, and you don't have children for many, many years, and you're dapping for it, you feel like you've changed your destiny, but you don't know that.
Right, you don't know whether your destiny was
You don't know
not
if
to
you've
have
changed
children,
it or
or
whether
right?
it's been-
Yeah,
So
I mean-
like the important thing is that you have to. The important thing isn't whether you can or you can't. The important thing is that you have to believe you can.
right.
It's
Although,
like your mindset. Like,
Well, no, you just have
yeah.
to believe that there's the option to. Otherwise, what's the point of anything?
okay, but the question is, part of me says, okay, it's nice to believe, but like, can you, right? Let's get. So I'm going to give you two. Okay, she's gone off the fence. We can continue. I always hate leaving someone sitting on the fence. It must be so uncomfortable there, right? Okay, so okay, I'm going to give you two answers. One, and then we'll get to Beth's answer, because I think Beth is onto something tonight. So the Tosfos, who is a commentator on the Talmud, asked the same question, like, what's going on? Can you, can't you? Why is it saying in some places you can't, this is what it is, and that's it, and in other places that a Jew is not bound by it? What's going on? So he gives us two answers that I'm going to share with you. So the first one is, he says it's true. There are certain things that are destiny, right? What the Gemara says in the first time that those are destinies. You know, a person's supposed to have that amount of kids, this person's not supposed to have kids, this person's supposed to be rich or poor or whatever. That's your destiny. But you can change it. You can change it. And how do we change it? Through a great merit, right? So for example, and I don't know if you've heard of this, but very often if someone is sick, right? If someone is seriously ill, what people will do is they will do like a big prayer drive, right? Where they will either do online, or they'll get people together in people. Yeah, and this is the idea behind it, right? The idea behind it is that when you have a great merit, and if you think about it, like so many people coming together to pray, right? That is a great merit. Or even if it's an individual thing about see, you must have prayed hard, right? You guys changed the destiny for tonight. So right. Okay, so let me finish this first answer. Then we'll break for the food, and then we'll come back to the second answer. So so a great merit, and that could be also within a person. Like if a person does, thank you so much, Shoshana. If a person does a great thing, then they can, a great prayer or a great merit, they can change their destiny through that. So that's question number one. Give us a minute, and then we will get back with question number two. If anyone has any questions on Zoom or on Instagram, then you can. Yeah, I feel like I should say whatever, but we had a bit of delay, so it's all good now, and there you go. That's yours. No, that's Joe's. Yeah, and then that's yours. No, that's Joe's. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
You see me enough?
Yes, exactly. And he's, oh gosh, I've got to pay for that one out. Okay. All right. So are we ready for the second answer, which is actually Beth's answer, right? So Rav Dessler, who was a great Jewish thinker, lived a couple hundred years ago, writes that there are two types of muzzles, right? There are two types of destiny of luck that a person has. There's something that's called muzzle tachton, which you're not going to know what these words are, and I'm going to try and translate it in a few minutes, and one that is called muzzle elyon, right? So what does that mean? It's kind of like there's everyday luck, right? Everyday destiny. And what does that mean? It's that, let's just say a person's destiny is to scrape by financially, right? That's the destiny. That's what they've always had for a long time. But they're a good person, and they try to live a meaningful life, and they try to connect to God, and they pray to God, and they ask God for help. And God sees that they are genuinely trying to live a good life and live a meaningful life. So God will change their destiny and say, okay, here's more money, because I want you to be able to I don't want you to have the financial pressure. I want you to be able to have that pressure off your head, so you can actually focus on doing more good things and living a meaningful life, right? Kind of like it's not a reward for what they've done, but giving them the tools they need in order to do more good, right? So that is a person can kind of change their destiny in that way by just living a meaningful life, connecting to God, praying, using their prayers to connect to God, etc. Through that. But there are other things that are a muzzle elyon, which means that could be that's that person's life destiny, right? So I'll give you I think one of the examples he gives is let's say there's a person who's suffers from physical illness or whatever, right? It could be that that's what their life destiny is. Their life destiny is to accept this situation and live with this situation, and maybe inspire others with how you can live a meaningful life despite having physical setbacks or whatever it is. But that is their destiny, right? And no matter how much that person prays, then they're not going to change it, because that's their kind of their life destiny, right?
Once they want to change.
Sorry?
Once they want to change. And they try so hard to change.
And it happens. You have people like that. You have people, we'll talk about financially, right? You have people who try financially, and no matter what they try, they fail, or they just scrape by, or they just never make it past that bracket. Or you have people that desperately want kids, and they try everything, and they may never have a child. Or you have people that have, chronic illnesses, right? And they try everything, and they go for whatever diagnosis and whatever therapies and whatever they can, and they pray and they do everything right, and they cannot change it. I mean, I'm sure. I'm going to ask you, can anyone think of people that come to mind? Right.
Yeah. She's very, very poorly.
Yeah.
And she's in terrible, terrible pain. And
yeah.
She's tried every drug and.
Yeah. And does that mean that she's not prayed hard enough, or she's not? No. What this is telling us, what this is telling us is that there are times that a person can pray, but that is their life, kind of like their life mission, their life destiny, to accept that and live a meaningful life despite it. Any questions on that?
It still doesn't kind of make sense, though, does it? Why would somebody good live with something that would either they die early or make their life?
Okay, so we'll come to that question in the end, because I think Beth gave us an answer, but no one asked the question yet. So I'm going to throw the question out for you. How do you know which one is which? If I'm in a situation, right, how do I know whether what I'm going through right now is just my regular life destiny, and if I pray hard enough, or if I have enough merits, etc., I can change it? Or if it's this is my life mission, and no matter how much I pray, no matter how many good things I do, I'm going to be stuck with it for good. And it talks on a physical level as well, right? Like, how does the person who is struggling in business know whether they should just give up and say, okay, I'm just going to, scrape by for the rest of my life, or whether they should keep trying? You don't.
But you
right?
have to try to be very safe, otherwise what do you live for?
You have to do both, don't you? You have to accept what you have and work
To keep going.
and work for better.
Yeah, we don't know, and it's right. And I think what you said it well is that you have to act as though we have to act as though we can change it, because you never know, yours might be the one that can change it. Yeah. So you have to do. So let's sum it up, and then we'll deal with Sharon's question. So to sum up, we can, yes, Judaism does believe in astrology. Okay, we do believe that there are signs, and a person is influenced by when they're born, etc., which can have an influence on it. But we believe, especially as Jews, that we are not bound by it. We can rise above it, which I want to say something. It's an incredible thing, because anytime a person thinks or feels like, I can't do that, that's just not the way I am, right? This tells us it's not true, right? We have the ability to rise above that, right? We have the ability to rise above it and to really conquer things and do things that to all intents and purposes may not look like it's possible, because that is what it's telling us. We are not bound by our astrological influences or other influences. We live on a different plane. And there is to sum up, right? How does a person change their destiny in terms of things like, how long they're going to live, wealth, kids, etc., right? Like those things that are kind of like out of our control. A person can change it through great merit, which doesn't mean you're always going to get it, right? It doesn't mean you're always going to get the yes, because sometimes that could be a person's life mission and they have to do it, but we never know which one it is. So we always have to act as though, and we always have to try as though we can change it, because you never know when it is that we can actually change it. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your feedback. You can get in touch with me. You can find me on Instagram. It's Gilla Ross. And please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out. Thank you for your time and have a wonderful day.